We have on several occasions since our show debuted less than a month ago reported on what has become the uniquely repressive censorship regime in Brazil, in which a single judge on the Supreme Court has ordered countless people, including elected members of Congress, journalists, analysts, activists, and a whole wide range of others, banned not from one social media platform, but from all social media platforms. And we have explained over and over why it is that this censorship regime is so uniquely threatening. And in fact, although this censorship regime has been overwhelmingly, not entirely, but overwhelmingly directed at the Brazilian right and supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro, and I have to say, as somebody who has reported in multiple countries, confronted multiple governments, been threatened by governments, there has never been a case in my entire journalistic career where I found myself hesitating before criticizing a political official the way I find myself sometimes hesitating when I go to question or criticize the powers wielded by this one specific judge, Alexandre de Moraes. That is how repressive and threatening by design this entire censorship regime is. It's not just about banning people from the internet. He has ordered members of Congress arrested, activists and journalists arrested with no trial. People are in exile out of fear of his orders in the name of stopping not just Bolsonaro, but the Bolsonaro movement, to the point where all kinds of censorship and imprisonment without due process and searches and seizures of people's homes are being done without even the pretense of due process. So let's get to this new order tonight. I will show you exactly what it says. You see there the name of the judge, Minister Alexandre de Moraes, and then author, prosecutor, investigator, and lawyer. It all says under legal secret. The order reads, I hereby communicate to you that the following decision was made in the judicial action, the details of which remain under legal secret for immediate compliance. And you see there, immediate is in all capital letters, which is how it appears in the order itself. So we're not only ordering you to do this and keep it secret, but we're ordering you to comply immediately in the following terms. And here's what the order says. Considering the following facts, I hereby determine the expedition of legal communications to the company's Facebook, Rumble, Telegram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, so that within the deadline of 2 hours, he's given them 2 hours to obey, proceed with the blocking of the channels, accounts, and profiles listed below under the sanction of a daily fine of 100,000 Brazilian reais, which is roughly the equivalent of $20,000 a day, and the providing to the Supreme Court of the registration data associated with those accounts, as well as the maintenance of the contents. So the order directs these 6 companies to do 3 things. Number 1, immediately, or generously within 2 hours, completely ban not specific posts that have been deemed illegal, but to ban the entire account, to prohibit all of these individuals from speaking on these platforms, whether or not they have violated the platform's rules themselves. That's the first command. Immediately ban all of these individuals from being able to speak on your platform, whether you want to or not. Number 2, provide to us all of the data associated with these accounts, whatever information they provided to you, their address, their telephone number, their legal name, everything about them, we demand that you turn over to us. And then number 3, we require you to preserve the content of all of these accounts, to keep them, not allow them to be deleted. Even if the people want them deleted, you are required to preserve them all. And then of course, embedded in that is a 4th command, which is, you may think this is really repressive, you may disagree vehemently with the order we're giving you, but you are nonetheless prohibited from disclosing publicly what we've demanded you to do. So presumably, if they obey the order and remove all of these people, some of whom are elected members of Congress in Brazil, others of whom are journalists and commentators and activists, if those people come and say, why did you just destroy my livelihood? Why did you just take down my page? Presumably, they're not allowed to say it's because we were ordered to by Judge de Moraes. They're required to maintain complete secrecy about the censorship order itself. Now, here then come the list of all the accounts that each social media company is compelled to immediately ban. So under Facebook, here you see the second item is the Facebook page of a Brazilian politician named Nicolas Ferreira. Nicolas Ferreira is a 26-year-old Brazilian who's a supporter of President Jair Bolsonaro. He became a popular social media star on both YouTube and TikTok and Facebook, and he converted that popularity into a successful run for Congress. He was just elected at the age of 26 to the Brazilian Congress. Obviously, he was elected by the Brazilian people who chose him as the person they want representing him in the democratic bodies of Brazil. But not only did he win in his campaign, he received 1.4 million votes. 1.4 million Brazilians in his state voted for him to represent them in Congress, which happened to be, by a good margin, the greatest number of people, the highest vote total any congressional candidate in Brazil received this year. There are tens of thousands of people who run for Congress across Brazil, each trying to represent their state in order to become a member of Congress. And of these tens of thousands of people who ran, this one individual, Nicolas Ferreira, received the most votes of any other candidate in Brazil on the left or the right. And now, by order of the Supreme Court, despite no trial, presumably not having been notified of any of this, despite being part of this order, was never notified, he is now banned from appearing on essentially all social media sites that have any audience, by an order of a single Supreme Court justice who was elected by nobody. And here you see another member of the Brazilian Congress, José Medeiros, who has also been banned from Instagram. Now, I just have to say, José Medeiros, there are very few people I actually come to hate in politics. I'm a harsh critic of many people, but generally I don't take it personally. I don't hate or love anyone in politics or journalism. I save that for my personal life and my family, where I love people or react emotionally. He's an exception, José Medeiros. I have contempt for him. I went to testify before the Brazilian Congress in the middle of the reporting I did in 2019, and he said absolutely grotesque things about my family, about my husband. He's a repulsive individual. And yet I am offended at the idea that an elected member of Congress can just be ordered by an unelected judge off of a platform without so much as offering any kind of rationale. In fact, earlier this week on Twitter, I questioned whether or not his powers had become too excessive. And I trended on Brazil on Twitter for 2 days, being accused of being a defender of terrorists, meaning the people who invaded those buildings. That's the climate that exists now in Brazil. If you question this judge, you will be called a defender of fascism, even though what this judge is most known for is this very extreme censorship regime. A free internet is the most valuable innovation we have against fighting against establishment power and entrenched authorities. This censorship is designed to ruin it even further.